All right, everybody. The Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars played their opening game of the regular season. No, that was a preseason game, what we saw last night. But that was a lot of fun. A very entertaining game. Almost everybody that you can think of played as far as your starters go. And the Avs had to fight and claw to come back and take a 2-1 victory. I was rooting during that game like it was a regular season game, and I found myself thinking like this is just preseason. But if that didn't get you excited for what's to come for another season of Avalanche hockey, I don't know what will. A lot to talk about in this game, so let's get to it.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah, man, when the Mikko goal went in, I gave a fist pump. I'm not gonna lie. That was an exciting preseason game, and I don't usually say that all that often.
You know, I wonder if it has something to do with us not having to scan every possible nook and cranny of the internet to find a game and it actually be on national television.
That was nice. That was an added bonus. So yeah, a good game, 2-1 victory for the Avs in their final preseason game against the Dallas Stars. We'll talk all about it, and we'll kind of throw out who we feel is going to make this team. Up until now, we've kind of thrown around this guy, maybe that guy, but we're gonna put down our Stone Code. Remember, Mike and Mike used to do the Stone Code lead pipe blocks. That's what we're going to do for who we think are the last players to make the team. But first things first, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. You can follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram, questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. All right, sir. So, a lot to talk about with this game because this was in the previous game, you got a good chunk of your regular roster who's going to make up most of your regular roster. In this game, it was everybody, save Gabe Landeskog because he obviously is out. But you did get Nichushkin in there, which is nice because up until now, we've been hearing that he might be a game time decision on opening night. So the fact that he's playing a full week ahead of that makes you feel really good, and he played fantastic. But overall, entertaining back and forth game, and the Avs needed 2 goals in the second, one to tie it, and then the second one to take the victory. Overall thoughts on the game, even though it was preseason, but still a lot to digest.
Yeah, it was fantastic to see Nuke back out there. It looks like they Nuke and JT Compher traded the no contact jersey because it looks like he's with the no contact now. And we were just saying in yesterday's episode, we need to see the stars more. We need to see the big names, and you get to see Nathan MacKinnon. And it sure was nice to see national television talk about him being the highest paid player in the league. You kind of felt good about that, but then
That's
you
going
got
to
to
follow
see
him around all season long, by the way.
and it's so nice. It's like we can have nice things in Colorado. What do you know? And then you go through the possible injury. Like, oh no, is Nathan MacKinnon hurt? What's going on with his wrist? It I agree with what you were saying. It felt like a regular season game where you're like, oh, this matters. Like I care about this player being injured, or it's good to see this player back. Like it's good to see the guys you fell in love with during the cup run.
And you did, like when Nathan MacKinnon, you could tell just by his body language, it wasn't too serious. But when he went back into the locker room, there was 33 seconds left. And I honestly didn't panic on it. It's a preseason game. He's just getting into the locker room a little bit earlier. If it was a regular season game, he probably wouldn't have done that because who knows what could happen in the last 30 seconds and they might need him. So I wasn't panicked. And I mean, he was. You always hear about those guys when they're having a really good preseason, and the term of oh, he's in midseason form. Nathan MacKinnon totally is. I cannot wait to see what he does in game 1 and for the 81 games that follow for this season. He looks like one cup is not going to like put out that fire that's inside this guy. He was amazing, and he
Yeah.
was everywhere.
And that's always in the back of your mind a little bit when it comes to Nathan MacKinnon. Like, how do you handle like signing the contract and you haven't seen him in preseason? Like, does he still have that fire? Does he still have that edge? Is he still crazy? What does Nathan MacKinnon look like going forward? And you get to see it, and you got to see he's a little bit more rabid than ever. It's like the season never stopped for him. So I don't know
Mm,
what he's doing, if he's shooting on those ratty old nets that he's got back home, but he
yeah,
looked ready to go.
he did. He did. As far as the lines went, your top line was Lehkonen, MacKinnon, and Rantanen. It's a lot of N's. Um, and then your second line was Nichushkin, Newhook, and Rodriguez. I thought the top six looked very good. You things were just a little bit off, which you kind of expect, but I thought they were fine. I thought the passes were pretty crisp. I was fine with how the passes were. Normally, that's the thing that comes like the very last thing for teams to really kind of get on track with is the passing. It's always a little bit off. I thought the passing was fine. Oddly enough, like the finishing was off. Like they had so many times where you felt like a play was coming to fruition and a play was just opening up, and then that pass would just be a little bit off. But just the tape to tape passes going, from defense to offense and moving the puck up the ice, that just seemed like it was they haven't missed a beat. But they were creating chances, especially on the power. I was thinking in my head, okay, power play looks really good, and we have nothing to show for it. So the power play is in midseason form
Yep,
already.
we're right back to where we were.
Right, exactly. So I thought things looked good, and it was just those kind of like those high danger chances they were missing on them, and that's okay. I mean, that stuff will come around. But man, I thought the power play looked good. They were winning draws in the zone. That drove me crazy last year, how many times they would start a power play, obviously in your offensive zone, and lose the faceoff and then get cleared. I know it's not a big deal, but sometimes it is a big deal because that's 15 seconds that are gone that you could have held the puck in your zone. And they did a great job on that yesterday.
Yeah, and it echoes that athletic article that we were talking about yesterday. How they talked about like the top six being just like leaps and bounds above the rest of the league. You could see it. Like the Avs, we're complaining about us not being able to finish setup chances, and like every team we've played so far, they are having problems just passing the puck, and we are talking about putting it in the net.
Mm.
Like it could have been easily one of those 6-7 nothing games for the Avalanche if they could have just put it away. Like even Cogliano looked like Miko at points in this game with like setup passes, and like he's pretty far down on the depth chart,
Oh,
but
yeah. Yeah.
it's just how the team was buzzing, and you could
They really
see,
were.
like, there's a difference when Nathan MacKinnon's out there, and
Yeah.
there's a reason why we pay him the money that we're paying him. The team reacts to Nathan MacKinnon being out there, and we still haven't seen Landeskog out there,
I
so
know.
just wait until he joins the team. It's going to be a completely different animal.
Yeah. You had Mikko Renton, I thought was like up and down, and he late in the third, I think the Avs were on a power play, and he just like the puck just rolled right off his stick and went out of the zone. And then he collected it. Nobody was around him. He brought it back into the zone and then lost it again. And you're like, okay, well, yeah, preseason. Okay. Just keep that in the forefront of your mind. And then he followed up with a game winning goal. So I thought he was kind of up and down as far as the top six guys go, but um, that's what makes great players good. They correct mistakes. And for him, it was in the form of a goal. So I don't really have any complaints on the top six. Bottom six was a little bit of a different story. I think they played well, they played hard, but how we're saying like the top six guys were generating offense and generating chances. The bottom six guys struggled to do that. They didn't look bad, but it was just night and day between. And it makes sense. I mean, that's normally what happens on a hockey team. But when your top six guys, and when you have Nathan MacKinnon just flying around and Cale Makar flying around, and then the bottom six are just out there skating and just trying to keep puck possession, it's like two different teams that were out there. So I don't think there was anything negative about the bottom six guys. We'll talk about, like I said, who we think are going to make the cut. But I think this was Ben Meyer's best game.
Yep.
In the preseason by far.
And you mentioned like the two different that feel of two different teams playing out there. And it's honestly, it's those that are the Colorado Avalanche and the team that is trying to find their place on the Colorado Avalanche. That
right.
is the two mentalities, and that you can feel it. Like everybody's kind of proving themselves, and that bottom six, that top six, they're right back to where they were. They know exactly what they're doing. They're clocking in, going back to work. Everybody else is still trying to figure out what they need to do. So I anticipate you get that feel out of the top six and the bottom six for at least the first month of the season. Everybody's still trying to establish what they're bringing to this new squad. But I don't know if you want to talk about it now or in the next segment, but the thing that stood out to me the most in this game is the new little wrinkle that the Avalanche brought in, that I messaged you about.
Hold that thought.
Yes.
If that's not a reason to make you stay through the Bet Online ad, I don't know what is. But betonline.net, here it is. You know it and you love it. It's your number one source for football betting and, of course, now hockey in another week. Find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. As always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sport wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all of your favorite games and events, including Major League Baseball, the NHL, MMA, boxing, and even golf. So head on over to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. That is betonline.net, where the game starts.
Bing.
Got it. All right. Yeah. So I think it was Peter Baugh who posted something the other day about he was at practice and he noticed the Avs going with 3 defensemen on the power play 2. And I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. There's no way they'll do that in an actual game. It still remains to be seen if they will do it in a regular season game, but they did it against Detroit, or excuse me, against Dallas. Pretty interesting, pretty curious. It was Byram, it was Taves, and it was Gerard. So is this something that we're going to see in the regular season? I don't know.
I absolutely love it. It was like I saw it and how they reset, and it just it puts this new wrinkle and new dynamic on how you operate a power play and how you stop the power play.
Right. I think if nothing else, it's two different worlds. Power play 1 is coming at you full force, and this one's a little bit more reserved. Like power play a little bit, but you still have offensive capabilities, clearly, even with your defensemen.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you give Bo Byram the chance to kind of break out and almost be it's a soccer term, but like be a midfielder. Yes, you're technically defense, but you could float. You have the potential to be a forward in this, and it's all reactionary on what the penalty kill is giving you. If they're overbiting on who you have down there in the slot, you can maneuver Bo Byram into that spot. But if you could pass around, and you're not going to get beat on that weird, like 5 to 6 seconds after everything goes back full strength, and it's that weird transition like that. I really like all of the options this opens up. and I want to see it in regular season form.
Yeah,
If this is gimmicky or if this is actually something you can build on and sustain.
If it's not something that you see in game one, I think you'll see it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think maybe if things aren't going well for the Avs in a power play, like you're gonna have that during the course of a season. You're gonna have ups and downs when it comes to a power play. I think this is just a third option to throw in there rather than just throwing out the same 2 power play lines and eventually just overcoming whatever struggles you're going through in a power play. Throw these guys out there because in the power play too, like I think I don't say people forgot about it, but Taves and Girard work incredibly well on the second power play, and they really police that blue line, and they have this little like give and go play that opens up Taves for a good shot or a shot pass or whatever the case may be. But those 2 guys work very, very well in the power play too. And yeah, throw Byram in there. It's almost like throwing another forward in there if you really want to think about it that way.
And if this is something the Avalanche are going to commit to going forward in the season, we're going to talk about it in a minute. But who makes the team?
Mm-hmm.
This casts a different light on possibilities for roster players because this opens up so many new things for so many different players, and this could be something that really could add to the Avalanche going forward.
It could be just because JT Confer's not there that they're doing this. You know what I mean? Who knows what the reason is? But because who's going to? I'm trying to think of who were the other 2 out there other than who were the forwards. I think it was it had to be Rodriguez, and because I think Newhook was on the first.
I was watching that. I was watching the blue line like a hawk. I honestly didn't pay attention to who they had down there because I was trying to see what the philosophy was that they were trying to set up, and it reminded me weirdly of the Tyson Barrie days, how Barrie and EJ used to act on that blue line. It reminded me a lot of that, and I was trying to figure out what they were doing there. I did not pay attention to the forwards.
Yeah.
And if we scored on that, I would have been like oblivious and probably had to track who did score because I was trying to understand what they were putting into place.
Yeah, it was interesting. A different look. That's what I love about Bednar. I mean, what team is doing this? None.
And that's exactly what I was going to. We watch so much hockey, and it's whatever hockey's on, we're watching. It doesn't matter what level, what league. Like, if it's hockey, we're like, you don't see that much innovation coming to the game. And like, this is something new, and for it to be an Avalanche thing, this is cool. I could roll with it. It's nice that we could put our logo on it, but like, if this is something that Bednar's been working on, I can't wait to see what else they have because this is preseason. They're not going to show everything they have in the bag now. So what else are they doing?
That's a good point. Could be other things that what trick plays do they got?
What didn't they show us in that Minnesota game?
Yeah.
Now it's a conspiracy theory. What are they working
on? As far as stats go in this game, well, actually, I wanted to talk about the one goal that Dallas did score. And if you watched on TNT, if you watched the intermission, the panel was really kind of focused in and talking about this. Maybe a little bit too much because it's a preseason game. I get why they were discussing it, and I actually agreed with Bissonnette on this one, and I typically don't agree with him, but I think he was right. Like, the game happens just so fast. Alex Newhook just went too deep.
Yeah,
he really did, and it's just that stuff that that's I don't say it's fixable. That's a very easy and simple conversation. Don't go that deep. You have your defenseman going that's what they're for. If he can make that pass from one of the boards to the other side through 3 of you guys, God bless him. Yeah. But you need to pick up the guy that scored the goal who just sat right in the slot. And as soon as he got that pass, I was like, here comes a goal. That's just tough to stop. And I don't put the blame on Alex Newhook, but he should have just tracked that a little bit better. And he went way too. He was basically, he just made Sam Girard bigger because he was right on his hip, and Sam Girard's got that. He's got that area. Was it Taves on the outside, or was it? I think it might have been Johnson. I think it was Eric Johnson who was out there.
Yeah, it was EJ.
So he's got that. He's got the player with the puck. You got Sammy G kind of in the middle, going back towards the goal, and Newhook doesn't need to be there with him. Stay up a little bit, and it's just a mistake, but easily fixable one.
And the thing that really did it for me, it was Newhook, and all this conversation we've had all offseason about can Newhook step up, be in that role. Like, this is Newhook being on basically national television's preseason game. Like, this is them ironing everything out as well, getting ready for the regular season. They took your mistake and put it on blast to have a segment. So
true.
There's no way he's going to avoid this.
Yeah.
This is going to really improve Newhook. This is going to go from just a locker room, like looking at the game tape, to, hey, we really got to correct this. I know everybody's watching me now. This is only going to build up Newhook. So I was, while they were breaking it down and Talkit and Biz were going back and forth, I was like, yes, keep going. Newhook's listening. Keep going.
He will be. Yeah. So that is what it is. But I thought he played well overall, Alex Newhook. I did. And I think he's kind of got that 2C kind of locked up, if you ask me.
I think
so. All right, let's get into kind of what we feel this team is going to look like. And like we said the other day, it's going to look different because Gabe Landeskog's not there. So it's going to look different to start the season, however long Gabe Landeskog misses. It's a little bit different, not this massive overhaul, obviously. So he's a big deal. So, your guys like Kaut and Myers and Sedlak. Who else is kind of like fighting for? Let me see. I had the lines here.
Okay. Let's get it out there. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Comments if you could do it. But Blede.
I think the D is silent.
Bleh.
I think it's just like something like
Bleh?
that.
Okay.
As far as I know, yeah. They say it's so quick, like I can never pick up on it. But
he was out there for less than 10 minutes. He keeps popping in and out. He's invisible. I have no idea what he does, what he brings to the team, what he's taking away from the team. He's a ghost. So that's one of those, like, because honestly, the roster that you saw last night against Dallas, there's some pieces you could swap in and out, but that might be your roster against Chicago because Nuke is back. So you got that taken care of.
Yeah.
No JT Comfer. So we could
swap. Is Comfer? I mean, have they said Comfer is going to be out?
He's a no contact sweater. So,
right. I mean, they got a week though. You know what I mean? They have a week before they're playing. So I don't know. Like I'm kind of just assuming he's going to play, and maybe I shouldn't do that. But
we can do that. We can roll with that.
Okay. So you're not going to have Landeskog, and that's really it. Yeah, because Nichushkin is there. So input JT Comfer here, likely on the third line. So yeah, you got two spots, right? Yeah, you got two spots that are going to be up to start the regular season. Who are they for you?
Ben Myers is number one.
I think Myers has played himself in. Like he took the preseason and did what someone who is on like the towing that line, riding that fence of what they can do. The way he started the preseason and preseason's games wasn't really active. Didn't really see it. And I think he's a young dude. He only got 5 NHL games. And although this is preseason, I think maybe there were some nerves there. But he just got progressively better as the preseason went on. I think he's a shoo-in. I think Ben Myers is a shoo-in. So now it's, and I think we're both in agreement with that. So now it's who's got that last spot. And, the opposite of that, I kind of feel is true for Martin Kaut. I think Kaut he started a little bit rough. He had some silly
A lot of bit
penalties.
rough.
Yeah. And then he kind of improved a little bit, but that improvement to me wasn't so great that I think he makes it, because he kind of went back down again, and then he was a little bit invisible, and he did get hurt. I didn't see it, but he did get hurt a little, but he came back. So, okay, he's fighting through an injury. I don't know. I just, maybe he makes it because Landeskog's not there, but when Landeskog comes back, I think he's probably, if he's one of the two guys that make it, Myers is staying. And Kaut is a guy going down. But I thought Sedlak was a guy that was going to make it, and I kind of still feel that way, and not because he's blowing me away, just because I think he's kind of a solid player, and he fits a little bit. So
I'm gonna give you, and this is something I've been thinking about. This has been on my mind all day long.
mhm.
2 names, one that we've been talking about and one that we haven't.
Okay.
J-Mac?
Yes, and he got hurt. So I don't know, but yes.
Where's Darren Helm?
I think he a lower body injury, I feel. So, and I think he's another one that I is kind of on the fence on if he's going to be game 1. I don't know.
Because
I mean, if he's in there, we're not even talking about him. If he's in there, then we're even cutting it even.
Yeah, I have
shorter.
I know he's been with the hurt skaters, but I was trying to figure out how close he was, because we keep talking like there's 2, but if Helm's good, Helm's back. Like, it's
Yeah. Oh my
Myers,
God. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah, and I don't. It's a weird thing with Helm. You haven't really been hearing a lot of what's going on with him. As far as I know, it's a mystery. I don't know. I think they're just giving you the LBI or UBI, whatever one he has, and then we'll wait and see. But I don't know. But that's right. I mean, if he's in there, then you're even. So let's say that. I mean, if he's in there, Comfer's in there, we know, like we're saying, Gabe's not going to be there. So it could potentially
Myers.
be just one guy. For me, it's Myers.
Yeah, it's Myers.
It is. It's Myers. So
and I feel like Myers is going to have it's going to be an echo of the Newhook trajectory. Like, I feel like this is going to be Myers, like, prove it year, like Newhook's last year, and then
it's a little bit early for that, I think, to
I
just
just have
this, but
I have that feeling when it comes to watching his play and how he's making the team. Like, he's had some guys really make a name and really shine, and then not shine. Guys that need to make their due, make their time. Like, and he's stuck around.
If, let's say, 2 months into the season, something happens, there's an injury somewhere, that they need to promote someone from bottom 6, I could see them propping up Ben Myers before JT Compher.
I do too.
I could see that happening.
I could too.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know what we have to talk about as well, because we didn't mention him at all. Alexander Georgiev. It was good. It was a very good game by him. How many shots on they threw 18 shots on goal on him in the first period. They ended up with 33. Both teams had 33 shots on goal. And I'm impressed. I am continuing to be impressed by, and I like how he had that horrible game against Vegas, and his next start, he did this.
Yep.
And like we're saying, this is as much of felt like a real game speed. Most of your roster players are on there. So he turned aside 32 shots. I do. I think he's pretty quick. I think he has some pretty good quickness. He has some really good reflexes. I feel like he tracks the puck pretty well. So I want to see now the real test begins. We're getting to regular season stuff.
I was hoping you wouldn't mention him because I didn't want to have to
Admit
Cade
that
say
he's going to
something
be,
nice,
yeah.
but hey, he did. He looked
He
really
did.
good. Everything that we said about Frankie in the last game, you can easily say about Yorgi
Sure.
and what he did. Like, his puck tracking is great, his rebound control, how he follows the puck even after he blocks it off of himself, he knows where it's going. So he's already checking boxes that we haven't had to check in the past couple years. The one
Yeah.
thing I will say,
Mhm.
that one goal that Dallas should have had, where they
Oh,
kinda airmailed it
yeah.
and he was floating,
He was
I had
behind the net.
yeah, I had
Yeah.
terrible flashbacks to Varley days. I was like, "Oh, no.
Yeah,
Not
that
this
that that was a
again."
bad play. That was a bad play, but those are gonna happen.
But, over like, if you were grading him, this was like a flat A night for his production. Like, I loved watching him, like, take those shots and then continue to find it.
And he gets right back up.
Yeah.
And that's as much as I liked Darcy Kemper. Kemper just sat there for a couple seconds, and
Yeah.
he
He would
didn't
sit
know
there
where the
and just
rebound.
freeze.
Yeah, like he didn't know where the rebound would go, and it's like you said, like seems like Georgiev like knows, like, okay, like I didn't stop this, and I know which direction it went, so I'm gonna go to that side of the goal to It's just it seems like his awareness is there. And I'm not coming down on Kemper because he's not with the Avalanche anymore. I liked him. I wanted him back. But that was the one thing for me that, and again, I didn't play the position, but I keep saying this, like, I was a catcher, and quickness is huge in being a catcher. So I think that was the one thing that lacked with Kemper. And I think you have it with Georgiev. He looked good.
And just to update everybody, Darcy Kemper did lose a skate blade last night in his preseason game.
No, are you
I'm not even kidding.
serious?
Yeah, Lisa, she was on uh,
Yeah.
the episode. She messaged and said, "Hey, by the way, just to let you know, Darcy lost a skate blade. He's in
Oh,
midseason form."
oh my God.
All I said back was, "He's your problem now."
Why- I gotta go watch it now. Like, was it his fault,
I didn't get to
was it
see
the
it.
typical? He just is standing there and his skate blade falls off.
Yeah,
Oh my
she
God,
just let me know that, so I had to forward that along to Avalanche fans. Darcy is
that's
doing Darcy
hysterical.
things in Washington.
In the preseason, no less. Oh boy.
So,
We're gonna end on that note. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Start commenting away. Or did you like what you saw from who? Who did you not like what you saw from somebody else?
and
Uh,
if not Myers, who?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, I think he's got it wrapped up, but throw out suggestions and guesses. So, all right, that will wrap it up for today. Thank you for making Locked On Avalanche your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. And we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli, and we will see you guys tomorrow.